The first thing that you've got to do is warm up the milk to body temperature so that the cream and the milk separates properly. This is a cream separator. It was bought from eBay in Germany, but the actual cream separator is Russian and has been delivered to a Swedish farm. It sounds complicated, but it saves several €100 compared to buying them in Sweden or buying them in most European countries. This strange metal disc in the middle is what separates the cream from the milk. It spins to very high speeds and uses centrifuge to separate the cream from the lighter milk. The cream separates to the top, the milk comes out the bottom. The milk hopper at the top can hold quite a few litres of milk, at least 10 litres. We found it works better to only do a couple of litres at a time, so there's a steady flow going through the machine. There are two spouts on the separator. The top one's where the cream comes off. The left-hand one, which is the lower one, is where the skimmed milk comes off. This time we don't need the skimmed milk that comes off, so that's being drained straight into the sink. This valve is where you regulate the flow of the milk. The trick is to get enough milk coming through so that the cream separates, but not so much that your cream that comes through is watery. One of the advantages of only putting a little milk through at a time is that you don't have to keep adjusting this. It's important to check that it's actually assembled correctly before you start. You can tell a lot by the noise. It starts up nice and smooth and like that, everything's in place. If you hear a grating noise, then something's not quite properly aligned. Okay, we're ready to start. The milk's at 40 degrees centigrade. We're now going to put in a couple of litres of milk, and then the trick is to get enough coming through that it starts to separate, but not so much that you get too much milk in the cream. You can usually hear a tone change as the milk starts to fill deep, and the milk is just starting to come through. Now I've got to turn it just a little bit more to start getting the cream separating. I can see the cream's just starting to come through, and you'll start to see it coming out of the nozzle at any second now. It's going through a bit faster at the moment, so you need to turn it down a little to get the flow, just a constant drizzle. Any more than that and the cream is too watery and you can't really do much with it. By just adding the milk a litre at a time, keeps the flow steady. If you put it all at once, you have to keep on adjusting it very, very small amounts, and you end up with too watery cream. We're over halfway through the milk now, and you can see that the cream is starting to separate nicely. We've got so far about 0.6 litres of cream from approximately 6 litres of milk. That's about right for goat's milk. It's easy to get confused about how thick the cream should be as it comes out. It's warm, so it will be a lot runnier than it will be when you actually use it fresh from the fridge. You can see the cream forming a bit easier here and see how it comes out. Towards the end, as the milk runs out, the flow of cream gets slower, mainly because of the different pressure that's coming from the milk in the top bowl. You can see that the cream is nice and thick. The last few drops of milk coming through, and from just over 10 litres of milk will produce just over a litre, probably about 1.1 litres of cream. Not a bad result. Once the cream's been run through, it's important to rinse through warm water through the centrifuge, 4 litres, to help clean out the centrifuge. They need to be all taken apart and cleaned properly. It sounds very fiddly, but it's actually not that fiddly. There are far worse jobs that you can have to do. Okay, so the hot water now goes through. You'll start to see loads of watery cream coming through the top, loads of milky water going through the left. This makes the job of cleaning it out a lot easier when you take it all apart. This is the really important thing to clean thoroughly. It's easy to think that it's all in one piece and it doesn't actually come apart. The lid comes off, and the outer casing comes off, and inside you can see the plates where all the cream is separated into cream and milk. All of these must be cleaned very, very thoroughly before your next use, otherwise you'll have rotten milk festering away inside your centrifuge. Inside there's a series of cones. There are more than one type of cone. In ours there are 2 sorts of cone, and it's vitally important to make sure that you alternate them, otherwise the centrifuge won't work correctly. As with the Haynes Auto Repair manuals, it's vitally important to remember that assembly is the reverse of disassembly. Don't get bits mixed up, just put things back together in the same order as they came apart and everything is fine.
More cream separators are available on site www.merry-farm.com.